Alright everybody, I have a package here from a fellow arcade enthusiast. He has a 25-inch Neotec arcade monitor chassis that he needs to have a cap kit done. And I don't recall if it's a flyback change too or just a cap kit, but regardless, he sent me his 25-inch Neotec arcade monitor chassis to do a cap kit for him, and we'll find out here in a minute if there's a flyback in there too. I think that there is, but we'll find out. Anyway, so basically I have inside my dedicated NBA Jam, I have a 25-inch Neotec, so I have a tube that I can test this chassis with. So I went ahead and told him, send me the chassis, send me your parts, and I'll go ahead and do the cap kit and flyback change out for you, because I have the compatible tube to test this with. So we'll go ahead and open this up and we'll see what is inside. Okay, so we have the chassis here. The remote board is protected nicely. Let's take a look at it. It's got some black spray paint overspray on it, but nothing too bad. We have the neck board individually protected from the chassis. That's good as well. And it looks like it's in fairly clean condition. I was hoping I was not going to have to rinse this off, because I don't like to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. Some of these chassis are real temperamental, not necessarily Neotec, but just arcade monitor chassis in general. So I don't like to rinse them off in the sink or do whatever unless it's absolutely necessary, like, you know, just covered in inches of dust. If they're not too bad, I don't really worry about it too much. But anyway, so here it is, 25-inch Neotec, and the first step I need to do here is dig deeper into the box and see what else is in there. So we have the chassis. I'll go ahead and set that aside. And we have a cap kit, Neotec cap kit from the real Bob Roberts. It is the, oh, there we go. It's the, you can see how many caps are in there. Is quite a bit. And even the pincushion cap kit board, or pincushion board cap kit is the right way to say that. But anyway, so this is the complete cap kit for this chassis, and it's going to be time consuming, not necessarily a challenge, but it's going to be time consuming to get this done. So that's step number one. And let me dig in here, and I forgot to do my research before I made the video here, to be quite honest, but I'm not sure if there's, well, here you go, there it is. I stand corrected. There is the brand new flyback as well. So I will install this flyback and this cap kit and we'll see how it turns out. But before I do, set this aside here. Okay, my NBA Jam, like I mentioned, has the exact same chassis as the one I just unboxed. So you can see it running. So I'm going to take this monitor out of here, and I'm going to use this picture tube to test the chassis I just unboxed. So stand by, and what I'm going to do here first is actually install the chassis that was sent to me on this tube and turn it on. Because whenever people send me these things, I always like to test them first before I do any work to it, just to make sure in case something is wrong when I'm done, it isn't something that I did. So if I hook up this chassis, the one I just received, to this tube and turn it on and it doesn't work, then I know that I need to do more troubleshooting to it before I try and reinstall it. So it's always a good idea in my mind to test it before I start working on it, just to make sure I don't make anything worse, or to get a general idea of how it looks before. That way I can see how it compares to when it's after, or when all the work is done. So stand by here. I will edit well, I don't want to say edit, I will pause the video. When I come back, I will have the chassis I just unboxed on this picture tube, and we'll see how it looks. You can see how this one looks now with my chassis on there, and then I'll put this new one on here and we'll see how it compares to this one here. 1 second. Okay, so I have the donor chassis here hooked up to my picture tube. I have all the connections hooked up. Anode cap, neck board ground, which is these wires here going to the neck board. Degaussing cable, which is the red, and the neck board ground are the black. I've got the yoke hooked up, which is right there. Everything is good to go, and you can see that this is the one I just received because it has the black spray paint overspray on the remote board. And then my original one is right here. So I will get it installed in the NBA Jam. As you can see here, the NBA Jam is now monitorless. I will install this monitor in the machine, turn it on, and we will get some before images to see how it works before I do all the work, and then we can do the work and then see how it looks afterwards. So 1 second. Okay, so I have the new chassis on the picture tube slaved into the machine. Let's fire it up and see what we're dealing with. Well, it came on, so that's a good step. And there you go. I can already tell you offhand that the screen is too red and maybe a little bit too blue, but that's, you know, this picture tube, each picture tube is different. You can see there's horizontal lines across there. Those are raster lines because the flyback is up too high. But it's hard to really determine because this picture tube may not be as weak as the picture tube that the chassis came from. This picture tube may actually have more life in it than the one that the chassis came from. So if I try and adjust the colors and everything, he's going to have to redo all of that when he gets it back. But as you can see, it is functioning. It's a little bit out of focus, and the flyback is too high, causing the horizontal raster lines, and the image is too far to the right. So let me try and adjust it back to even out the horizontal position. Oh, that's our horizontal hold, sorry, horizontal position. Well, I can't move it to the left anymore. When I move it to the right, see how it folds over on itself over to the right? See that on the right over there? You can see it folding in on itself. That's a classic cap kit issue, or classic issue of caps failing or being bad. So that's probably going to be fixed with the cap kit, but I cannot move the image any more to the right to really fit the image on the screen horizontally. But I'm not really going to worry too much about that because I don't know what game this came out of, and that game may have a different resolution than NBA Jam. So I'm going to do the cap kit and the flyback and adjust all the colors and focus and all that kind of jazz. It looks like the longer this is on, the more out of focus it gets, which is an issue of cap kit and or flyback. So it's mostly flyback that causes that. When you guys turn your monitors on and they look crisp and clear, and then the longer they're on, the more out of focus they get, that's a sign of bad caps or a possible flyback going bad. So, but otherwise, I mean, it's working just fine. So I'll go ahead and do the cap kit and the flyback change out and get all the colors and position adjusted, and he'll have to readjust everything when he gets it because, like I say, each picture tube is different. But I'm going to go ahead and adjust everything that I can to get the image as perfect and looking as good as I can on this particular setup, and he'll just have to readjust everything when he gets it. So, and that's not a big deal. I can show him how to do that. But anyway, so there it is. I'll get working on the cap kit and flyback, and you can see some of the before here, and then I'll do all the adjustments, and we'll come back and I'll have it all done, and we'll see how it turned out afterward. Well, here it is. I have successfully installed the full cap kit, new flyback, got the screen adjusted for correct position. I got all the colors and focus and brightness and screen pot and contrast. I got all that adjusted. Everything turned out great. It looks and works perfect. So I want to start off by saying that I was able to fix the screen position because there's a separate pot for the horizontal position on the chassis itself, separate from the remote board. You saw it earlier where the image was shifted too far to the right and I couldn't bring it back enough to the left, and no matter what I did, and actually if you moved it to the right, the image would fold over on itself on the right. That has now been fixed with the cap kit. If I move the image to the right here, horizontal position, well, you'll see it no longer folds over on itself. So that's good in the fact that it doesn't do that. And then also you'll see that the image is roughly centered. And the way that ended up working was there's a separate let me show you here. There is a separate adjustment right here. This is my original one that obviously I haven't reinstalled yet, but right here there is a pot that says H position. There you go, H position. So there's a separate knob, and when you adjust this in combination with the other one for on the remote board, then you can actually get the image to center up in the middle. So I got the image to center, and then I also adjusted the horizontal width. It was stretched way too far out, and I adjusted vertical size, vertical position, and everything. And now the image is 100% square in the shot. So and there it is. You can see I got some discoloration on the right and the left. That's just degaussing issue. No real big deal on that. But it turned out successful. So that being said, it's all done. I want to say thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.